Howdy, folks. Hope y'all are doing okay today. Thanks for tuning in. So, I want to talk about something real quick. I'm on my way to a doctor's appointment and to get out of this Cadillac and back into my little Focus. So, I've been hearing all sorts of things from somewhat questionable sources. As far as the state that things are in. As an example, an uncited source said that, what was it, Pilot? Yeah, I think Pilot truck stops. They are having minor issues getting diesel exhaust fluid. For those of you that don't know, it's a fluid that is injected into the exhaust stream and modifies the chemical makeup of the tailpipe emissions on diesel trucks. It got put into service on big rigs, I think in 2009 or 2010, depending on the specific year model and the type of engine, and it got put into use in small trucks by 2010 or 2011. And there's lots of issues with the system on a long-term standpoint. Unfortunately, it's the kind of thing you can have the best engine, it's only good as the weakest link in the truck, and a lot of times that comes down to the emission system. Anyway, one of the things about these emission systems is, due to it being EPA regulated, you will get warnings on your dash like, hey, you've got an estimated 1,000 miles of range on your DEF left, diesel exhaust fluid. 500 miles. Hey, you're out in so many miles, you're going to go into a reduced power or reduced speed mode. Only reason I know this is when I worked at Ford at the service center, or at a Ford dealer at the service center, that was one of the things that we had to know and deal with. You're going to go into reduced speed, and so you could floor it, and the truck's only going to go, 40, 50 miles an hour, no matter if you're empty on flat ground with a tailwind. And then eventually it will go to forced idle, where if you're on flat ground, you could just creep along with your foot off the brake. So it's not important to the functioning of the truck, it's important to make it work from an emission standpoint. And the way the computers are set up in the trucks, it can stop the truck. Well, anyway, something that has me concerned a little bit is with DEF allegedly becoming harder to find. If in time DEF becomes a scarcity, where this, we're getting one shipment a week, but we need 2 or 3, truck drivers are going to start stopping on the side of the road. Loaded or unloaded, won't matter. When they run out of DEF, they get so many miles. When they are at those so many miles, they'll go to forced idle, and the trucks will sit. And a lot of tow trucks have that crap too. So what do you do? Now, part of the reason for this, my understanding, is that Ukraine is a chief exporter of a lot of the chemicals that go into DEF. Could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding. So I think that if anything like that happens, the Biden administration needs to be ready to bite the bullet from an environmental perspective and allow a temporary bypass on those systems. Wouldn't be all that hard to do. There's, in the diesel world, which I know sounds kind of weird, but I used to subscribe to several diesel performance magazines, and in that world there are people, aftermarket companies, that offer all sorts of parts, from just better internals, bigger turbos, all the way up to emissions defeat devices. Now, all of the emissions defeat devices were sold with the understanding that this is illegal to use on a vehicle that is going to be used on the highway, so you can use it, you can buy it, but it's supposed to only be used off-road. So if you want to take your truck drag race and you want to cut all the emission stuff off of it for weight and power, you can do that. If you want to take your truck to the sled pulls, you can do the same thing. However, you can't legally drive it to and from where you store it to where you run it. The technology exists to bypass those systems, so if that ends up becoming a thing, I think that Biden or the EPA needs to allow big trucks to violate emissions, for the simple reason that stuff still has to get where it's going, and we're trying to get out of a supply chain crunch. And if all of a sudden trucks are getting sidelined due to 10 gallons worth of diesel exhaust fluid that they can't get it, that they can't find anywhere, can't find where they're broke down, they just need to let them bypass it and be on their way until we can figure something else out. And it wouldn't be that hard. You get the VINs and the contact information off the trucks that you allow the temporary bypass, and once the supply chains get straightened up for DEF, you just start setting up appointments to reset the trucks, where yes, it will inject DEF, yes, it will go back into reduced power mode, and you could even set it up where it just won't go into reduced power, where it'll, blink and alert you, but it's not gonna go into reduced power or forced idle. So, just a thought. That's what I got on this one, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch y'all next time.